Good afternoon, students. Welcome to the lecture of Operation Research. In the last lecture, we have studied some main theorems of duality, such as fundamental duality theorem, complementary slackness theorem also. Okay, let us just have a look to the what is a fundamental duality theorem actually. Fundamental duality theorem gives us the relation between the solutions of a primal dual problem. Okay, the first statement of fundamental duality says that if one of the problem from a primal dual, if it has finite optimum solution, then the other also has finite optimal solution. Okay, the second statement of fundamental duality theorem tells us that if this is a statement, yes, if one of the problem is having an unbounded solution, then the other problem has no feasible solution at all, and the third possibility is both the problems may be infeasible. This theorem is going to help us a lot in order to find out the nature of solution of both primal dual problem. We have seen the proof also. Okay. Next theorem we have seen is a complementary slackness theorem. In the complementary slackness theorem, we have seen the relation between the nature of variables. Okay, which type of variables? Original variables, slack variables, dual variables, surplus variables, etc. Let us just recall the statement of complementary slackness theorem. If the inequality occurs in the ith relation, that is the corresponding slack variable xn plus I is positive, then the ith variable wi, the corresponding dual variable, if you can say, it is 0. That is, if xn plus I is positive, wi is 0. Similarly, if xj is positive, we are getting corresponding added dual variable wm plus j is 0. This is what a relation between the variables, and there may be a lot of questions in our objective on this complementary slackness theorem. We have seen the proof of this theorem also in detail. Now let us go for today's lecture. In today's lecture, we are going to understand what is dual simplex method. We have studied simplex method already. Now we are going to understand dual simplex method. Now, as the name suggests, this method is exactly dual of the simplex method. Exactly dual. What is the meaning of dual? We have seen complementary steps, right? Now, this is dual simplex method. We will just recall what is the simplex method. We will just recall what is the simplex method. Simplex method is a systematic algorithm given for solving the problems involving the constraint of the type less equal. Constraint of the type less equal. Here I'll just write simplex. Okay, we are using the simplex method for the problems involving less equal constraints. That of, we are considering the right hand side of the constant to be non-negative. If one of the constant is a negative, we are going to multiply this by a negative symbol. Okay, then we are going to start with a initial basic feasible solution. That is, while solving the problem, we will start with the feasibility. Okay, and this feasibility is taken to an optimality. That is, we start with initial basic feasible solution, and we will take the problem to optimal basic feasible solution. That is, we start with feasibility and we will reach to optimality of the solution, right? While solving the problem, we are going to consider first an incoming vector. We are finding an incoming vector. Okay, first step. First we find incoming vector, and then we were finding outgoing vector. We were finding outgoing vector. Okay, now whatever this dual simplex we are going to introduce, this dual simplex method has exactly complementary steps to this simplex method. Therefore, let me write dual simplex. What is the algorithm that we will take care afterwards? Okay, we will try to understand why the name is dual simplex. Okay, this problem we are solving, or this methodology we are using for solving the LPP, which involves the constraint of greater equal type also. constant of greater equal type also. Okay, and whenever this constants are of greater equal type, whenever we convert it to less equal, we will get the constant to be right hand constant to be non-negative. Therefore, here I'll write right hand side constant are assumed or allowed to take the negative values. Right hand side constants are allowed to take the negative values as well. Okay, then in dual simplex method, we first find the optimal solution of the given LPP. We first find the optimal solution of the LPP, though it is infeasible. Though it is infeasible. The meaning of the word infeasible means the one of the variable, at least one of the variable should take a negative value. Then starting with optimality, we are going to reach towards the infeasibility of the solution. Infeasibility of the solution. Okay. Then in dual simplex method, first we are finding outgoing vector. First we are finding the outgoing vector and then we are finding the incoming one. Then we are finding the incoming one. But if we just look at the steps which are involved in simplex and dual simplex method, all the steps are complementary to one another. Therefore, whatever is this method, new method was introduced in order to solve the LPP with greater equal constraints is called as a dual simplex method. Okay, if you are not having, if you are having any kind of problem, or if I am not audible to you, you just please message me so that I can. I hope I till now I am audible clearly. Can anyone just put me the message? Yes. Okay, so whatever this method we are going to understand is called as a dual simplex method. Dual simplex method is mainly used for solving the LPP involving greater equal type of constant. But already we have seen some of the methods which can be used for solving the problem with greater equal constant. Two such methods we have seen. One is big M method, other is two-phase method. But in both the methods, we have to use an artificial variable where the concept of artificial variable may be somewhat confusion, may create some confusion for us. But this is the method in which we are not going to take any kind of artificial variable. We are going to use directly the algorithm which cannot use or which can't use the artificial variable. Okay. The only change in this method and dual simplex method is the criteria of selecting incoming and outgoing vector. Criteria of selecting incoming and outgoing vector. Therefore, first we'll try to understand what is the criteria of incoming and outgoing in vector in the dual simplex, and later we will try to understand what is the dual algorithm. Therefore, I'll just write the criteria to find the outgoing vector. To find the outgoing vector. The criteria for the outgoing vector is very simple. Here, as we are starting with an infeasible solution of the LPP, what we will do, we will remove the vector. We will remove the vector having most negative XB value. Having most negative XB value. Therefore, here the vector XBR, an outgoing vector, we are going to select on the basis of selecting minimum among XBI. What is XBI? XBI is the values of the basic variable provided XBI is less than 0. Provided XBI is less than 0. That is, among all the negative values of XBI, we are going to select the minimum one. Minimum means what? Here we are going to select the most negative XBI value. We are going to select most negative value, and whichever the vector xbr gives us the most negative value will be our first outgoing vector. Okay, for example, suppose we have two values. Suppose we have xbi, it's a column vector actually, having two values, say -3 and -5. Then what should be my xbr? What should be the xbr? Xbr is minimum in xbi, okay, provided xbi is less than 0. Now here among the two values, which value is minimum? Most negative, that is -5. Okay, but this -5 occurs at which place? Say this is xb1 and this is xb2. Therefore, if I write this as xb2, what is the value of r? R is 2. That is, second basic variable will leave the basis. Second basic variable will leave the basis. Is the point clear? While solving the example, the idea become more clear to you. Next, let me write down the criteria for an incoming vector. To find incoming vector, the criteria for incoming vector is, once we fix out this r, for the fixed value of r, I can write for fixed value of r. That is, row we have, sorry, column we have fixed out now. Once we fix the column, what we will do? We will find out the ratio of a net evaluation divided by the corresponding entries in the column. Okay. And we will select the maximum value. That is, we will find out delta j upon xrj, provided xrj less than 0. What is xrj? What is xrj actually? xrj are entries in column xr. Entries in column xr. Okay. So whatever is this column we have selected with this outgoing vector, what we will do? We will take care of only those elements which are less than 0. Okay. And for those elements only, we will calculate. Oh, sorry, this is a column. It's a row, na? Outgoing. I have written a column. Where I have written? So entries in the row. I think if you remember our simplex table, outgoing vector corresponds to row, na? Therefore, these are the entries in the row. Therefore, whatever the row entries which we get negative, we will find out. For those entries only, we will find out the ratio maximum delta j upon xrj, where xrj is less than 0. Whichever is the value gives us the maximum will be our incoming vector. Will be our incoming vector. Therefore, let us write the dual simplex algorithm. Once we write the algorithm, we will be ready to solve the examples. Let me write the algorithms in short. Dual simplex method. Okay, now we will go stepwise. What is our step 1 says that? No doubt, write the given LPP in the standard form. Write the given LPP in standard form and obtain starting basic solution, or I can write initial basic. Here we cannot write feasible. We will write simply, we will find initial basic solution. Okay. Next step is, if this initial basic solution is feasible, no problem. We will just proceed. But if it is not, we have to move further. Okay. Now here I'll just tell you a shortcut. What the shortcut we were going to use in this is, if the constraint, if one of the constraint is greater equal type say, then we will write it in less equal multiplying by a negative sign. Okay. If a constraint is greater equal sign, then multiply multiply the constraint by minus 1. Constraint by minus 1. Therefore, what kind of inequality it will be? This is in the form of less equal. Once it is in the form of less equal, we can use slack variables. We can use the slack variable. Okay. In simplex method, we are not doing this. We want the right hand side constant to be non-negative only in order to ensure this to be a feasible solution. But here, we are not going to worry about the feasibility. Okay, so whatever is the constant we have, we will multiply with minus 1 and we will convert it to less equal form. Though the right hand side constant becomes negative, we will use the simplex algorithm. Okay, let me go for step number 2. Step number 2 says that whatever is the solution, initial basic solution we have obtained, if it is feasible, then you just use the simplex method. If not, we have to go for the further steps, next steps. Okay, if current basic solution, if current basic solution is feasible, then use simplex method to obtain optimum solution. To obtain optimum solution. Okay, and if not, if current basic solution is not feasible, go to next step. If current basic solution is infeasible, then go to next step. Go to next step. What is the next step? Step 3. Now what we have to do? We have to select the incoming, or first we have to select outgoing vector. Select outgoing vector having most negative xb value. Okay, having most negative xb value, that is xbr is equal to minimum xbi, minimum over I, provided xbi less than 0. Okay, then this row corresponds to key row. This row is called as key row. Okay, next step number 4. What we will do? We will choose the incoming vector. Obtain the ratio of net evaluations to corresponding coefficients in the key row, and the vector associated let me write one more step here. Obtain the net evaluations of corresponding coefficients in the vector to key row. Ignore Ignore the ratios associated with positive and zero denominators. We are going to ignore the positive and zero denominators, means we were considering only the denominators having a negative value. The entering vector is 1 with smallest absolute value. Value of ratios. That is delta k upon xrk is maximum. Delta j upon xrj provided xrj less than 0. Don't forget this condition, xrj less than 0. Okay, what is the next step? After this we will get a key element. Then we have to reduce the key element to unity. Reduce key element to unity, and all other entries in key column to 0. Okay. After this, you have to go to step 2 and repeat. Go to step 2 and repeat the process. Repeat the process until optimum basic feasible solution is obtained. Today the pen tablet is not working properly. Is the point clear to everyone? Dual simplex algorithm. As the name suggests, all the steps in this dual simplex algorithm are complementary to the simplex algorithm, right? We will take one problem on this so that the idea will be clear to you. Okay. Which two formulas you have to remember? Formula for an outgoing vector which is most negative xbi, and formula for incoming vector maximum among this for all negative entries in the corresponding key row. Okay. Methodology is very simple actually. Let us go for one problem to understand. Let me go for one example. Yes, the example I will take is minimum z is equal to 2x1 plus x2 subject to the constraint 3x1 plus x2 greater equal by 3, 4x1 plus 3x2 greater equal by 6, x1 plus 2x2 greater equal by 3, and x1, x2, x3 non-negative. This is what the problem we have. Okay, the problem, the given LPP is not in the standard form. In the standard form means what? Objective function maxima. All the right hand side, all the constraints should be in less equal format. Therefore, here we will make the convert the LPP in the standard form first. Okay, convert the LPP in standard form. Yes, what is LPP in the standard form? I'll convert this minimum objective function to maxima by maximum z star, and the value will be minus 2x1 minus x2, where what is z star? Z star is minus z subject to Let me convert all the constant greater equal constant to less equal multiplying by minus 1. There it becomes minus 3x1 minus x2 less than or equals to minus 3 minus 4x1 minus 3x2 less than or equals to minus 6 minus x1 minus 2x2 less than or equals to minus 3 and x1 x2 x3 is non-negative. Okay, while converting the inequality constant to less equal form, we have not taken care that the right hand side constants are non-negative. Why? It is because in simplex method we were using this step in order to have the feasible solution to the given LPP. Now we are not worrying about the feasibility. Okay, that's why we were writing this. Is that okay to everyone? Okay, now what the next step is? We will add the three slack variables to the three variables, to the three constraints. X1, X2, X3 is not necessary. No? Okay, now what we will do? We will add the slack variables to convert inequality constraint to equality. Add slack variables, say X3, X4 and X6. X3, X4 and X5. Okay, what will be the first constant? Minus 3x1 minus x2 plus x3 is equal to minus 3. Second, minus 4x1 minus 3x2 plus x4 is equal to minus 6. Minus x1 minus 2x2 plus x5 is equal to minus 3. Right? Now, what are the basic variables? Yes, what are the basic variable here? And what is initial feasible solution? X3, X4, X5 are the basic variables. That of the initial basic feasible solution is minus 3, minus 6 and minus 3. Though it is infeasible, let us check whether it is optimal or not. Now what I am going to do, let us draw directly a first simplex table. The basic variables I am going to write is X3, X4 and X5 basic variables. CB, XB, X1, X2, X3, X4, X5 and minimum ratio. Here I am going to write the CJ entries. Let me just complete the table. Okay. Remaining you can just assume. But here I am going to write CJ entries. What are the CJ entries here? Minus 2, minus 1, 0, 0, 0. Cost of the basic variable 0, 0, 0. Initial solution minus 3, minus 6 and minus 3. Column corresponding to x1 minus 3, minus 4, minus 1. x2 minus 1, minus 3, minus 2. Just give me a minute. Okay. Now what this method says? Ah, what about entries in X3? Entries for X3 is 100. X4 is 010. This is 001. What are the delta entries? Delta 1 entry. Now this is going to be positive, because if I take CBX1 minus C1, 000, therefore CBX1 entry will be 0, minus of minus 7, therefore it is plus 2, this is plus 1, 000. Therefore here if you observe, the all delta j's are non-negative. Okay, and what is the cost of your Z? CBXB is also not Z, it is Z star rather. Okay, therefore here if we observe, all delta J's are non-negative. Therefore whatever is the solution we have obtained at this step is an optimal solution. Let me write, since all delta J are non-negative, the solution is optimal. Though it is not feasible, I am writing only optimal. Why it is not feasible? Because if you just look at these three entries, the entries are negative. Therefore, this is not a feasible solution, but it is giving me the optimal value. Now, what the dual simplex algorithm tells, we have found the initial optimal solution. Now, let us go for towards the infeasibility. In order to do this, first we were going to find out the outgoing vector. What is the criteria for outgoing vector? Yes, what is the outgoing vector? This is XBR. How do we are going to select this? Minimum among XBI, where XBI less than 0. Therefore, among those entries of XB which are negative. Here all the three entries are negative. Therefore, may I write this is minimum among minus 3, minus 6 and minus 3. And the minimum gives me the second value, that is minus 6. Correct, no? And this minus 6 corresponds to xb2. xb2 means your second basic variable leaves the basis. Okay, for which is the second basic variable? Here it is x4. Therefore, this is going to leave the basis. Therefore, second row will be our hero. Now we will go for finding incoming vector. To find incoming vector. What this incoming vector formula tells us, for r equals to, for fixed value of r, find out delta k upon xrk, which gives you maximum delta j upon xrj, where xrj less than 0. xrj are nothing but the entries in your second row. How many entries in your second row are negative? 3 entries are negative. Sorry, 2 entries are negative. This one and this one. All the rest are going to be non-negative entries. Therefore, we will calculate the ratio only for the two values, that is x21 and x22. If you just put this as a matrix, what is the position for these values? This is x21 and x2. Therefore, how to find out the ratio? The net evaluation divided by the corresponding entry in the row. This net evaluation divided by the corresponding entry in the row having the negative entry. No doubt. Okay. For how many ratios are possible here? Two ratios are possible. First is delta 1 upon x21 and second is delta 2 upon x22. Why? Because only these two entries x21 and x22 are less than 0. All the rest entries are non-negative. What is delta 1 value? Delta 1 value is 2, delta 2 value is 1. Okay, what is x21 value? x21 is minus 4, 22 is minus 3. Therefore, here I will write this as minus 4 and minus 3. And we want to select the maximum among this. That is from minus half and minus 3. Which value is maximum? Minus 1 by 3, no? Okay, this is minus 1 by 3 and this corresponds to delta 2 upon x22. Therefore, what is the value of k? But here I have written delta k upon x2k. I have to write delta k upon x2k is delta 2 upon x22, that is k is equal to 2, that is second variable will enter the basis. What is the second variable? Delta 2 upon x22. This corresponds to which one? The second variable x2. Therefore, what is the pivot in this case? Pivot in this case is -3. Second basic variable leaves the basis. That of second variable enters the basis. That's why -3 will be the pivot element. If this is the pivot, how can I convert this pivot to unity and remaining entries to 0? We have to use, no doubt, the row operations. Which row operations to be used? Which row operation should I use? Is it R2 by -3, first row operation, and then in order to convert the remaining two entries to 0, what I have to do? Entries in the corresponding column are -1, -3 and -2. We have to convert this to 1 and these two are to 0. Because this, my dividing by second row by -3, we have converted this to 1. Now to make this -1 to 0, what we have to do? Is it R1 minus R2 by plus we want? No. If I do R2 by minus, it becomes plus 1, right? So this is -1 of minus of 3 upon -3. This will cancel. -1 will get 0. Next, R3, that is -2. -2 minus. What I have to do? I'll divide by 3 multiplied by -2, or I can write plus also. R2 plus 2 by 3, R3 plus 2 by 3, R2. R2 entry is -3, therefore here if I put -3 plus 3 -3 will cancel, we'll get -2, -2 minus 0, here it is minus. What for R1 also? -1 minus -3 upon -3, this becomes cancel, -1. Here also it should be plus. Or you can write subtraction also. Okay, let me do the row operations. After doing the row operations, let me write what is the table. What is the table? Basic variables CB, XB, X1, X2, X3, X4 and X5. CJ entries at the top are -2, -1, 0, 0, 0. Okay. Now what I'll do, as the table is very far away from us, in order to do the calculations, I'll write the calculations directly. So this is X3, X2 and X4. X5 goes out, X2 enters the basis. Corresponding basic variables are, cost of the basic variables are 0, -1, 0, and XB entries becomes -1 to 1. You just please do the calculations. -5 by 3, 4 by 3 and 5 by 3. X2 is 0, 1, 0. Here it is 1, 0, 0. For X4, this is -1 by 3, -1 by 3 and -2 by 3, and last entry is 0, 0, 1. And at this stage, if I calculate the Z star value, this becomes -2. Now the net evaluations are 2 by 3, 0, 0, 1 by 3 and 0. Now still we have all the net evaluations are non-negative. Since all delta G are non-negative, solution is optimal. But is it feasible? This is not feasible yet, because in XB column we have still one entry to be negative. Therefore, we have to repeat the process. If I want to repeat the process, what will be my incoming vector? Sorry, first outgoing. No. What will be my outgoing vector? How many entries are negative in XB now? Only one entry is negative. Therefore, no need to think. Here X3 will be outgoing vector. X3 is outgoing. Only one entry we have negative. Therefore, we have to take this out. Therefore, this is my leaving vector. Is this point clear? Okay, then we will select which is my incoming vector. Now in order to select incoming vector, we have to look at this key row. First row, in all how many entries are negative? Two entries are negative. This x1 entry and x4 entry. Therefore, two ratios will be there in order to find out the incoming vector. Let me select incoming vector. How can I select an incoming vector? What is the value of r here? First variable, r equals to 1. Therefore, what is my incoming vector? Is it delta k upon x1k, right? Actually, this is maximum over k, delta k upon x1k provided x1k less than 0. Now there are two entries in the first row negative. Therefore, we will write both the entries. This is delta 1 upon x11 and delta 4 upon x14 because both the entries are negative. We will calculate the maximum among the two ratios. Therefore, this is maximum. Delta 1 is 2 by 3, x11 is minus 5 by 3, delta 4 is 1 by 3, x14 is minus 1 by 3. Therefore, maximum among these two will be, here it is minus 2 by 5 and minus 1. Therefore, minus 2 by 5 is maximum, which corresponds to delta 1 upon x11. Therefore, what is the value of k we have obtained? 1. What is the value of k we have obtained? That is first variable will enter the basis. First variable x1 shall I write? First variable x1 will enter the basis. Okay, let us check what is the key element. Now here we got this first variable to be an incoming variable. X3 is outgoing. Therefore, what is my pivot? This minus 5 by 3 will be the pivot. Now you just, what the steps we have to do? We will write the row operation in order to convert this key element to unity. All the rest elements to be 0. Okay. We perform all the row operations. Okay. Here I am going to write the table directly. Therefore, I'll write the table basic variable CB, XB, X1, X2, X3, X4 and X5. And the basic variables now are X1, X2 and X5. That of the cost is minus 2, minus 1, 0. And the values of the variables is 3 by 5, 6 by 5, 0. This is 1, 0, 0. This is 0, 1, 0. X4 is X3 is minus 3 by 5, 4 by 5 and 1. 1 by 5, minus 3 by 5 and minus 1. Here it is 0, 0, 1. Let me calculate net evaluations and Z as well, Z star as well. Z star at this stage is minus 12 by 5. That is Z is plus 12 by 5. Okay. Therefore, the net evaluations are 0, 0, 2 by 5, 1 by 5 and 0. Now here in this table you can observe very easily all net evaluations are non-negative. Therefore, the solution is optimal. Observe XB column, all the values are non-negative. Therefore, the solution is optimal as well as feasible. Since all delta J's are non-negative, the solution is optimal. Solution is optimal, but and also feasible. And also feasible. Why it is feasible? Because all the entries in XB column are non-negative. Thus, the optimal basic feasible solution is, what is the optimal basic feasible solution? X1 takes 3 by 5, X2 takes 6 by 5 and Z takes 12 by 5. Therefore, the value is X1 takes 3 by 5, X2 takes the value 6 by 5 and Z value is 12 by 5. If you observe in the previous two tables, once we get the value of Z star is 0, Z star is 0 means Z is also 0. In the second table, we have got the value z star is 2, that of z is plus 2. Now it is 12 by 5. If the value gets, whatever is this value will be the optimal basic feasible solution, and hence it is the proof of our problem by using a dual simplex method. Okay, the only two changes we have to remember in this dual simplex method. Okay, otherwise the method is very similar to simplex. Which are the two criteria to remember? First, we have to remember that we have to find out the first outgoing variable, then incoming. All the rest process is very similar to simplex method. Also, one more point to remember is whenever the constant is of greater equal type, first convert it to less equal multiplying by negative, which we are not doing in simplex method. Okay, I hope you have understood the lecture. Try to solve more problems on this. I will share you the photo of our exercise and try to solve the remaining problems. Let me stop here. Thank you for being with me for this lecture.